What's up, party people? Welcome back to Agents of Rage. A little switch up here on this episode. Even though Woody is not going to be on the show this week, he did make the episode there with a little Agents of Rage plug as we start the show today. What's up, everybody? My name is Elren. This is TD, and a little Geoff Tate here to get things going to start episode 7.
Yeah, Woody and Ecom will get a kick out of being on the intro. That was definitely a fun night checking out Geoff Tate.
Yeah, dude, that was cool that you get them to do that. It's fun when you actually have a really cool marquee, like at the Ritz where you guys were. It seems, obviously that was in San Jose, California. And I'm here in Detroit. I don't get an opportunity to see that, but seems like a really cool venue.
Yeah, totally cool. And we were very fortunate because they had the road blocked off for some reason with cones. I think they were doing construction, so I could get actually into the road and get a shot of the two of them without getting plowed over by a car. So it was good. And there are a lot of moving pieces to getting to a festival, and the San Jose is cool because Ecom and Woody live in San Jose, so usually I'll just head to Woody's house beforehand. I'll pre-game with my traditional Four Loko, and we'll hang out, catch up. He'll play his guitar a little bit, and we'll just catch up, and then head on over there. And there's always good parking, which is always great. And I think it holds about 1,000 people, is my guess.
Well,
and it's got a pretty good layout. Yeah, and it's got a pretty good layout. So there's no real traffic jams of people in there. Short lines at the bar. So it's a cool place, and you can get, as you can see, you can get as close as you want, which is nice as well.
Yeah,
and we did. It was an awesome show.
I was going to say the lighting was super cool.
Yeah. And we got there. Of course, first thing I do is assess the merch booth, and it was kind of cool because one of Geoff Tate's daughters was managing the merch booth, and of course, I ended up buying some merch because it was such a great show. The guy really, he can still hit all those notes. Phenomenal performer. Spent a lot of time interacting with the crowd. It's cool to see him live solo, so to speak, because I saw him during COVID when they were doing the no audience shows, and so I bought a ticket to a show he did during COVID, and he sounded great. And but there may be some mixing, tuning, or whatever in those scenarios. But here it is what it is, and it was awesome. All his bandmates were from different countries except for one guy, so he introduced everyone, and I got a pick from the bass player, and Woody got a pick from one of the guitar players. So all in all, it was a successful night. Lots of fun.
No doubt. It's really interesting. Queensryche / Geoff Tate is one of those bands that had a moment. And if anybody was alive in the 80s and they were listening to heavy metal, heavy metal hard rock, especially anybody who was watching MTV on the regular, Queensryche was a staple. And this was a band that in the mid 80s, especially with what we're going to talk about on this show, Operation Mindcrime, really, hit the stratosphere full throttle. And everybody just got into what they were doing. They brought a very new wave of British heavy metal, vibe to what was happening. They had kind of an Iron Maiden kind of sound. And if you are someone, let's say, who's watching this show that is younger, and you don't realize what was happening back then, it was really, really cool because, again, and what we talk about on this show a lot is the fact that we encourage you to listen to albums because albums are an experience. And in some cases, especially in Queensryche case, it's an album with something that they want you to pay attention to. And so you need to hear from top to bottom and kind of follow this story. It's very much, like a book or a movie or
a concept album. And so you need to start from the beginning to the end if you want to get the entire picture.
Yeah. And if you want to really understand how we're doing it, by the way, I'm in the new El Ren studios here, which,
hey, I'm in the new ED studio.
That's right. So we're trying to up our game here, people. Trying to just trying to give you something better, something that looks cool, whatever. And by the way, I just want to say before I move any further, we've got some more subscribers, which we're super excited about. We've got people who have given us feedback that they've enjoyed the programs. And, we had a comment that, wanted us to talk about what I think it was industrial black metal or something along those lines.
Deathcore, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah, he said he sent over a DM, but I told him it didn't come through. So he could send it again because, we want to check that out. We want to check that out from anyone.
Dude, we love all aspects of metal, and there are so many genres, so many different styles of music that are being presented out there today. And I mean, this show is a perfect example, this particular one, of, we're talking about Geoff Tate, we're talking about Queensryche, which is, metal from another era that was very, I guess a lot would refer to it as more like the kind of the hard rock or power metal kind of sound, different than a lot of what we're hearing today. Although we've got a lot of what we're hearing today too, through the generations. And just in this show alone, you are going to hear a lot of different genres and styles of metal. We love it all. Definitely. We are not, particular, granted, raised on thrash. That is our
baseline.
Raised on thrash. That is our go-to, but we love it all. It's kind of like art. Art is subjective. You look at a painting, where I'm going to get deep here. You look at a painting and, you see that and you interpret it one way. Somebody comes up next to you, stands, and they interpret it a completely different way. You might love it for completely different reasons. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about metal. So thank you. And I would say that, we got a comment. We got our first comment, which was, hey, do you guys follow this kind of metal? And the answer is probably not, but we want to hear of the bands that you really love, so that if we're going to introduce ourselves to that particular style, I want to hear from something that you really like, something you really love. Yeah. Just a couple days ago, April 25th, and this is when we're recording this on April 27th, you went to see Geoff Tate, which is Queensryche. It's an interesting story, what has taken place since the glory days of Queensryche. And what we're going to do today is kind of switch our kind of order of the show. We're going to talk about our album spotlights first before we get into the clips that we're going to do. Now, today, the clips that we're going to do, Orbit Culture, Fear Factory, and Machine Head. So I've got clips from all three of those bands. They're all great bands, all kind of different in their own way. And two of those, Fear Factory and Machine Head, have been around for a long time, and they have endured the test of time. In fact, if we get to our story of the shirt this week, I will just go ahead and say it now. I'm wearing a Fear Factory shirt that I got at the show in February, and it's an interesting story here, TD. So
talk to me.
It's I think it was a Tuesday night. I brought my friend MC, and they actually have balconies, so we got balcony seats for that particular show. I wanted to get a good vantage point so I could get some sweet clips. And he proceeded to continuously bring me fermented hops on a continual basis. And so throughout, which tends to happen. So throughout the course of the night, I continued to just have a full cup in my hand. And by by the time that things wrapped up, when Machine Head was finished, we had to, of course, hit the merch area, and uniquely at St. Andrews, it was kind of in a basement area, and bands were there, and it was really cool. And so I roll up. I'm really excited to talk to Orbit Culture because I just love those guys. Yeah. But again, remember that there's a term that's called 3 sheets to the wind. That's probably what. That's probably where I was at this point in time. And so I get up there and I get to the table and I'm like, guys, I just love you. You know, the fact that you're from Sweden, and I'm just really digging your sound, and I'm so excited. I'm so thankful that you guys came here. I can't wait to see you again. I love when I get a chance to see a band on the way up, because you guys are on the way up and you guys are so good. And so I think I'm kind of looking at merch as I'm saying this. I'm kind of looking down, and I look up, and it's the band Fear Factory in front of me. And they're like, well, that's great, man, but we're Fear Factory. I was so embarrassed. I was like, guys, I love you. I want you to know that I have been given a little too much tonight, and I apologize. And they were laughing, and so I said, so let me buy a shirt right away. Let me get it and make that happen. And I basically, kind of walked away with my tail between my legs because it was pretty fun. But I was again, making an ass of myself. Yeah, it is what to make
you feel better. I've done that once before, not level 10 like you, more of a level 4. But I didn't realize till the next day. It's like, wait a second, that wasn't the guy I thought it was.
Yeah.
Hey man, it happens.
It happens. My buddy was cracking up. He was laughing, but he's like, hey man, it's all good. These guys face that all the time. The bottom line is you bought a shirt, and that's what they care about. They want to make sure that they're selling merch, and
it cost them a little extra,
right? That's what it goes down to.
But it's okay.
Yeah. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to swing it back to the Queensryche conversation. And again, our album spotlight is going to be Operation Mindcrime from 1988. And so it's really interesting what's gone on with Queensryche, over the last 10 years or so. But again, there was a time where they were on top of the world. And Geoff Tate, who we're going to hear some clips from here a bit, he's doing, a Queensryche set. And then we have another faction of Queensryche that is also out there doing Queensryche music. But back to Geoff Tate, he is ranked 14th on Hit Parader's list of the 100 greatest metal vocalists of all time. So he's ranked by Hit Parader, in the top 15. He was voted number 2 on That Metal Show's top 5 hard rock vocalists of the 1980s.
That's big.
It's big. And so is Queensryche. They've sold over 20 million albums worldwide. This was, I think, as of 2013, including over 6 million albums in the U.S. Considered one of the leaders of the progressive metal scene of the mid to late 1980s, and often referred to as one of the big 3 of the genre, along with Dream Theater and Fate's Warning. I know those bands have their fans, but Queensryche, to me, far surpasses both of them. Now, Dream Theater, again, technically, if you want to get into the musicianship, that's a different story. Just from a, what I enjoy in a music perspective, I think Queensryche hit home a lot better than those bands. Now, the band received worldwide acclaim after the release of our Spotlight album, the 1988 album, Operation Mindcrime, which is often considered one of the greatest heavy metal concept albums of all time. In January 1989, this album ranked at number 34 on Kerrang! Magazine. Remember Kerrang! Magazine?
Yeah, forgot about them.
Yeah, that was cool, man. Kerrang! Magazine's 100 greatest heavy metal albums of all time. Now, what happened, let's flash forward, following a highly publicized backstage altercation before a show in Sao Paulo, Brazil. He was fired from the band and replaced with then Crimson Glory singer Todd LaTorre. In response to his dismissal, Tate and his wife Susan, who served as the band's manager from 2005 to 2012, filed a lawsuit in a Washington court claiming he was wrongfully terminated.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, both Geoff Tate and Queensryche are doing entire Queensryche sets. So Queensryche is performing 2 albums in their entirety. The first album from '84, The Warning, which is awesome, and also the 1989 self-titled EP, Queensryche. Geoff Tate is doing a collection of all the hits. And again, you had an opportunity to just see Geoff Tate in concert, and again, hasn't lost a step.
None. It was awesome. Yeah, the show was just absolutely phenomenal.
Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to show you a few clips from that. And what I want you to do is pay attention to the last clip. We're going to have 3 songs from Operation Mindcrime. So again, this is an album we think you really, really need to enjoy and sit back and listen to and make a part of your collection. If, you know, this kind of music really kind of speaks to you. And so we've got a couple songs from the album. And then the third song is a little bit of an amalgamation. And I'll explain what I mean after the fact, but let's check it out. So what's amazing about what we just saw there is actually, we had a combination of both Geoff Tate and Queensryche. I recorded that clip when both TD and I were at the 2022 Blue Ridge Rock Fest. And amazingly, their voices do sound very, very similar. So they found a guy who really sounds a lot like Geoff Tate.
You couldn't really tell the difference. I mean, it just sounded like two different shows. It didn't sound like two different people.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty crazy where the band is at right now. But the bottom line is what we're here to talk about briefly before we move on is the fact that it's a great album. So many hits came off of that. It was so influential, I think, to so many other bands.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a different kind of metal. And again, like I said earlier, we've got all kinds of presentations. In fact, we're going to get into Onslaught here in a second, which is a completely different style. Yet, Queensryche has a home in the Hall of Fame, no doubt.
Oh, yeah.
And interestingly enough, we had Woody at the beginning of the show who said, his Agents of Rage. He was one of the guys there. We're going to have him on probably in like mid-May or something. And he's a good buddy of ours. Going to talk about his metal journey. But you've gone to, I don't know, you can tell me how many shows that you and he have gone together over the years. And Queensryche just happened to be the first.
Yeah, that's funny enough. We met because we're in the same industry. And it turned out, so we went to our first show we met at was Queensryche at the Fillmore in 2009, and Ecom was there as well, who was giving us the shout out, Agents of Rage, and my brother Chris Cross. And so that was our first time seeing Queensryche. And then, of course, Thursday night we went and saw Geoff Tate. And one of the things I wanted to note is that on Operation Mindcrime, if you listen to the song I Remember Now, at the beginning a gal comes on. It sounds like she's paging in a hospital, right?
Yes.
And she pages someone, and then she does a second page, which says Dr. Blair, Dr. Blair, Dr. J. Hamilton, Dr. J. Hamilton. Now, if you remember what I just said, you're going to hear it in movies and TV shows all the time. It's apparently, I guess it's a generic phrase they bought, but I'm watching, I don't even remember what it was, a show or a movie. I'm like, wait a second, that's from Queensryche. So you're going to hear it, the same voice, everything. And so that was pretty cool. But the Operation Mindcrime album was significant to me because, I associate a lot of the metal music with memories. And
100%.
My buddy Eminem and I, in 1988, went down to Panama City Beach for spring break, which is a big thing to do when you lived in the Atlanta area. And I had a Buick Regal, 78 Buick Regal that had a cassette player. Well, by 88, everything was transitioned to CDs.
It was.
So I had the Operation Mindcrime CD in my boombox in the back seat, and we just played that on rotation for however many hours it took to get there. And I'll never forget that. And it just, that album just takes me back to times in my life that were great. And it's just great that you can still see them playing live, whether it's the new version or the current version of Queensryche versus Geoff Tate. They both sound amazing.
Absolutely. So you get a chance to enjoy the music either way that you experience it. My experience with Queensryche, 1990 Long Beach Arena, Queensryche and Dokken.
Oh,
and
nice.
It was, and I believe it or not, I believe that Queensryche and Dokken, Don Dokken, are still kind of doing similar shows together. Like they just formed a kinship, and that was a typical kind of end of 80s kind of, that music was starting to go. Like Empire, that album they did was really, really big. Silent Lucidity was, you talk about being on rotation on MTV, man, it was constant. And that album really blew up for them as well. And, Dokken was a band that just never really hit it. George Lynch, an unbelievable guitarist, and had Lynch Mob, which was a part of that as well, the scene. But that particular show was great because it was kind of the end of an era. and it was really, really cool. And I think I still have my ticket stub. I'll have to look for it. I believe I still have my ticket stub for that show. And one other thing that we want to do here on the podcast from time to time is, bands are connecting themselves with alcohol. Go figure.
Right.
More and more. And, for instance, I was at the Metallica show in November, and when we saw Metallica in 21, and in fact, even though Metallica was not at the last Aftershock show, there was a huge tent that was selling their blackened whiskey. So, and which of course we had to go over and take part in celebrating their accomplishments. And so from time to time, TD or myself might have something that a particular band is brewing, for lack of a better term. And what you got? What you got something today?
All right. For this episode, I've got Deftones Phantom IPA. You can buy it in a can, single cans, and then I think they have 6-packs. Pro tip, if I can find the camera, always clean the top.
Of course.
The germs.
Yeah. Please, people.
Let's get into it.
Wipe your top down. Get into that. Take a swig. Good.
Yeah, kind of a little citrusy taste to it, kind of mild. That's pretty good, actually. This might be a good pregame adult beverage.
There you go. Do you know if is that their only brew?
As far as I know, it is.
Okay.
I try to do a little research. I think that's the only one they have, but it's still. It looks like it came out in 2016, maybe. So it's still going strong. You can buy it at pretty much any liquor store or a convenience store, Bevmo, Total Wine. Yeah. But I would recommend that. It's actually pretty good. I'm not a huge Deftones fan. They've got their place, as we've frequently mentioned. But the beer is solid. I'd recommend it.
Yeah, Deftones is one of those really interesting. There you go. I would drink that 100%. And I'm glad that they're doing that, and we want to support that. And again, let me tell you, we get no endorsement money. There's no product money coming into this thing. Us and our 20 views.
Right.
For sure.
Now, if you want to send us money, we can set up a Venmo account, but
absolutely.
We'll
hawk any product, that's for sure.
Totally right.
But I just want to make that clear. But hey, I think it's cool that bands are digging it. I know, we've been at festivals like Dave Ellison's got his coffee,
right? Yeah,
and he's out there. I remember, in fact, the first. We got a little chime in there.
Yeah, the Agents of Rage mascots are awake.
Right. That's right. He is awakened. The first time that we had gone to a festival together, the open air in Chicago, Dave Ellison had his coffee booth there, and he was hanging out and talking about it, and went to see Dave Ellison and the Kings of Thrash last year. They did where they were doing the first 2 Megadeth albums, and again had another singer who just mimicked Mustaine to perfection, and that was pretty cool. So I'm glad it's fun that you're seeing these bands, and then they're doing these kind of things where they go back and they do albums in their entirety and things like that. I love that. I just recently, again on the last episode, Violence doing Eternal Nightmare from front to back was really awesome. And it's really cool that some of these older bands are doing that, because us fans have a particular connection to certain albums. And in fact, as we wrap up our Operation Mindcrime coverage, I Don't Believe in Love was the song that for me now resonates forever. And I'm not gonna put out any names here, but right after high school, I graduated in '88. I know that dates me.
Same here. Dates me as well.
Yeah. After the summer after high school, summer after your senior year is always a very interesting summer, because you're 18, you are now moving into a just different part of your life. Everyone's going different directions, and things are wild. And things that were, I will say, taboo before, all of a sudden those restrictions are limited. And there was this girl that was forever connected to a friend of mine, and they were like the couple that was going to get married. You know what I mean? They were going to be together forever, and they were just the quintessential couple in high school. Well, as it turns out, they break up before the end of graduation, and we end up finding a connection that summer after high school, and we're sitting in the back of her Jeep, and the first time that anything kind of happened, chemistry and things that happened between us, I Don't Believe in Love is on the radio.
There you go.
That's the anthem that's playing as this moment comes to fruition. And for those of us who remember those really quintessential moments where, you know, you had an amazing connection with an individual, especially when you're young, it's something that sits with you forever. And the soundtrack that's playing, that also sits with you forever. So that's my forever connection to that album, and that song was that particular moment. It was really
nice. Good story.
Really wild. Yeah, well, thank you. All right, the other album spotlight before we got a lot to get to here, so we're gonna move things along here real quick. And hey, bear with us. You know, we love this stuff, and we always got a lot of content we want to bring to you. So my album spotlight is a band called Onslaught. Now, if you've never heard of Onslaught, they've been around a long time. Onslaught was actually formed in 1982. They are a British thrash band. They recorded 3 albums in the 80s. They've had 4 albums since 2007. There was a big kind of gap between work that those guys did. What I'm featuring today is an album called Generation Antichrist. It released just 4 years ago, August 7, 2020. First studio album that they have done since 2013. It was the first not to feature Cy Keeler on the vocals since 1989's In Search of Sanity. So he was the mainstay there. But I'll tell you what, you know, that happens with bands. This album is a banger. All of it. Generation Antichrist contains 9 tracks of blistering old school thrash with a modern sheen delivered in the manner we have continued to adore and respect ever since their comeback album Killing Peace Florida since 2007. There is no BS as Onslaught go about their business in a relatively streamlined fashion. Nige Rocket, the sole remaining member from the original lineup, has put on a show worthy of great praise. Overall, I would take a moment to give 2 gigantic thumbs up to Daniel Bergstrand for his production quality and his ability to bring every ounce of skill and talent out of these musicians, and also praise Onslaught for creating such a grand work 38 years into their careers. So, I mean, it's amazing how long they've been around. We've got a couple tracks that I want you to enjoy here. And again, this is Onslaught and some tracks from the album Generation Antichrist. The theme here for these 2 selections are intros. TD loves the intro to the first track, and I love the intro to the title track. So the intro is prominent here in what we're presenting, and I think it was just unique that what attracted us to both of these songs were the intros. So with that said, let's go ahead and present Onslaught to you now.
to ask that we all bow our heads in prayer. For many thousands of people here today, this will be an hour of decision. You will never be the same today. Everywhere, young people are discussing Jesus Christ, and they're asking the question, who is he? Who is this Jesus Christ? Well, I want to tell you that Jesus is alive. Not much hope for the world. God is alive. The evidence is overwhelming that Jesus Christ is alive. You have to accept that. So let's listen carefully and prayerfully today. Shall we pray?
All right, so there you go, Onslaught. And I'll tell you what, I've never seen them, but I would love to see them. And that's the kind of band that should be doing the festival circuit, because I think there would be a lot of people that would just be totally turned on to what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a creator meets destruction. And those two bands are awesome as well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm totally feeling that. And I'll tell you, that's just one of those albums. Literally, people listen to it front to back. It is incredible. And, you know, I'm trying to pick things that I think you would enjoy every single song. And that is one of them. I can't get enough of it. It's really, really solid. Just good thrash. And it's kind of mainstream metal a little bit too, meaning, you know, it's not vitriol.
Yeah, right.
It's something I think if you're digging kind of the thrash sound, and something that's gallopy and riffy and sweet, and you can understand kind of the lyrics, that's a band, man, you should check out. So, and they've got a catalog that is insane. All right, let's swing into another section here as we get into our final portion of the particular podcast we call Agents of Rage, episode 7. We're going to get into a show I saw in early February 3rd to be exact, at St. Andrews Hall. Featured 4 bands. We're going to hear from 3 of them. Gates to Hell, I did not grab any of the clips that I recorded from that one, although I will say they're a band that I'm going to pay attention to moving forward. They were interesting. They were very, very interesting. But the 3 bands you're going to hear from are Orbit Culture, Fear Factory, and Machine Head, which I had never seen Machine Head. This was, you know, we talk about Third Time Being Charmed. I've kind of explained to it in our earlier episodes that I've been scheduled to see Machine Head so many times they either canceled on the city or the festival, like Blue Ridge in the last case. Never got a chance to see him, and I got a chance to see him, and they did not disappoint. I'm going to start with some clips from Orbit Culture. Maybe you've heard of Orbit Culture, formed in 2013. They're from Sweden. Their music is categorized as melodic death / groove metal. Their songs tend to follow themes such as science, mythology, and the struggles of humanity. So, little deep, but I'll tell you what, I love this band. And yeah, I even told Fear Factory that I love this band. So I want you to hear from Orbit Culture right now. So there you go, Orbit Culture, bringing it. That last song, Vulture North, was on repeat on Liquid Metal for quite a long time, and that's what really turned me onto that band. I love the Swedish metal scene, bro. There's certain bands that just come, and whoever they are, they just bring it, man, and they bring that Arctic chill with them.
They do.
I love it. So that was a great way to start the night, and then we got into Fear Factory. Now, Fear Factory is a band that formed in 1990, been around a long time. They're from Los Angeles. They're from my hometown. They've had 12 full-length albums, tons of EPs. I mean, they put out a lot of music over their career. So I would highly suggest that you kind of check out who they're about. Their early music, if you're into it, they describe it as kind of like industrial death metal. More of their music is about technology, anti-religion, hate, science fiction, and, you know, kind of like postmodern material. And that kind of fits into what their groove industrial metal side is now. They've got they've got politics in their themes, you know, a lot of different things that they do, and it's not, and they kind of switch it up, like, you know, the singing and the not, but anyway, they're really cool. They're very technical, and again, they've had lots of lineups changes over the years. There's a couple constant members. I know at least one, but I really think that Fear Factory is one of these bands that have stood the test of time, as has Machine Head, and they've had to adapt to whatever they've had to do to stay relevant, stay current, and still create music that they love. They kind of went in a different direction for a while, and then they went back and went heavy, and heavy is how you would describe them now, at least their newest material. But here's a few clips from Fear Factory at St. Andrews. So that's a little bit from Fear Factory, and I tell you what, man, I was so fired up. This show brought so much. Orbit Culture brings their style. Fear Factory came out and just laid it down, man. I mean, they're heavy. and technical, and just a really unique sound.
Yeah, those guys are awesome. I've been a big fan for years. I think I only saw them once, and that was with the original vocalist too. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, they're really cool. And again, why everybody was there was to see Machine Head. Their story is another one of perseverance and really unique, and kind of ties in a little bit to violence. So Machine Head is a band from Oakland, California, formed in 1991 by Rob Flynn, who is the lead singer and the rhythm guitarist. He remains actually the only original member of the band. They have formed officially on October 12th, 1991. And at that time, Flynn had recently parted ways with Violence after speaking of violence, a physical fight between the band members and a local gang.
Wow.
So I don't know what the deal is with that, but he decided he's going to continue. And kind of Machine Head's aggressive musicianship made it one of the pioneering bands in the new wave of American heavy metal. These were one of the guys in the 90s when everything was kind of like dying that kind of held the mantle for a little bit and tried to kind of play what people wanted to hear, but also kind of stick to their roots. Their first 4 albums earned the band a growing fan base in Europe. However, the band would not have success in the U.S. until later releases. The band drew controversy with its 4th album, Supercharger, in 2001, which was released 3 weeks after the September 11th attacks. And its only single, Crashing Around You, and its music video, which featured burning buildings, was pulled from all media outlets, which forced the band to almost disband in 2002 after negotiating off the label Roadrunner Records as a result of the controversy. And for those who weren't around in like 2001 and all of that and the aftermath, you just couldn't go there. Like, the country was not gonna support anything that was controversial in any way, let's just say, when it came to America as a brand, I guess. However, the band would eventually re-sign with the label. Machine Head has been mainly described as groove metal, thrash metal, heavy metal, new metal, and alternative metal. They're influenced by Californian thrash bands such as Metallica, Exodus, Slayer, and Testament, traditional heavy metal bands like Iron Maiden, crossover thrash bands like Suicidal Tendencies and Chromax, groove metal band Pantera, Exhorder, and Fear Factory, and grunge bands like Nirvana, and Soundgarden, and Alice in Chains. They really do draw from so many different styles. They're considered to be, again, one of the pioneering bands in that new wave of American heavy metal, as well as part of the second wave of thrash metal bands from the 1990s. So again, the reason I say all that is I think this is a band that really has been out there doing it and put out a lot of content. And, Rob is unapologetic for what he does. And I think he's great. I think the music is great. And it's a little bit of something for all metal fans. Here's a little bit from Machine Head in February 2024 at St. Andrews Hall. So there you go, Machine Head. I'm amazed I could even keep the phone straight at that point of the night, but
Right.
I'm glad that I did. And but
too.
again, you ever seen Machine Head?
I think I've seen them 4 or 5 times.
Oh, all right.
They play in the Bay Area, because they're from here.
Right.
Just a proportionate amount. And I see Rob Flynn at local shows probably at least 10 different times. He's a fan as well as he's a big fan, and I'll see him frequently at shows.
100%. He is, man. And they were one of those bands that was very active during the pandemic. They were doing live streams all the time so that you could, just enjoy some metal when you get a chance. They kind of stand alone when it comes to kind of who they are and their style. Like, they can cross over to the kind of mainstream rock audience and yet still satisfy those heavy metal purists who want something that's heavy and and a singer that really packs a punch.
Yeah, big time. Yeah.
So I just love them. I think it's really cool, and I'm glad. And you know what? Guess who's going to be at Incarceration?
Machine Head.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir. You were actually just reviewing the lineup recently, and felt that it has a little more to offer than maybe you originally thought.
It doesn't have as many holes as I thought it did. If you consider how many bands you can actually go see logistically, there's plenty. If there were more bands, we probably couldn't see more bands. You just can't get to every set. So I think it's going to end up being pretty good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am too. I agree. And Chimera's reunion is going to be amazing.
That's a good one.
And they're actually from
Ohio.
Ohio.
Ever from those guys.
Oh, sweet. And they're from Ohio. So playing in Ohio is going to be a big deal for them, and that's going to be sweet. So I am looking forward to that big, big time, and buying some merch of theirs as well. All right. So what the general public doesn't know is we actually had to do a little stop and starting in this thing, and we have forged through, and we have gotten through another episode of Agents of Rage. It's all going to just be beautiful and just sing, throughout when you see it, the finished product. But, hey, technical difficulties happened, and whatever we had to deal with, we dealt with, and we moved forward. We got a lot of stuff on this show, and this is what we want to do each and every week. And some of them might be a little lighter. We might be a little more dialogue driven, but we also might be more clip driven as well. And really, I'm on a little bit of a hiatus before I go to shows. I can tell you, I just bought tickets for a show in May that I'm very excited to go see. I had been wanting to do that. So May 21st at St. Andrews, which is the exact same venue that you just saw the Machine Head, Fear Factory, Orbit Culture clips from. I will see In Flames, who have been around for a very long time.
Nice.
Playing with Gate Creeper and Creeping Death. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something.
It's going to be a good one.
It is. And I'm going because of Gate Creeper and Creeping Death. In Flames is fine.
Great.
I like them. But let me tell you something. Especially Gate Creeper, I can't even tell you how much I love those guys. Please, they have a new album out. Please go look them up. Creeping Death, which again, you would think, what is that, a Metallica tribute? It's not. Those guys are fantastic, and I would highly suggest you go look up their material and see some of their songs if you like the kind of same stuff that I like. So again, metal is very subjective. What you like, this person may like, this other person may not, TD may not, I may not, or we may all love it. I love both those bands. So if you're like, hey, I really kind of wonder what Elren's real style of heavy, Gate Creeper and Creeping Death, those two are the
I love them too.
That I love. So check them out and check us out. We will do another show next week. It might be a little later in the week, but the plan is each and every weekend is to get these up on the weekend, the party weekend. One of the things that we're going on here in Detroit this weekend is we had the NFL draft here. And so it has been amazing. We actually set the record for the most fans ever at an NFL draft as a collective.
Wow.
We set the
awesome.
record on day one. What?
I said, that's awesome. And I read reports that who they estimated to be there, they even thought it was even lower than what really happened. So there could have been even a bigger audience.
I think it's true. I stayed away on Thursday and Friday night because it was literally a sea of humanity. I went on the Saturday, day 3. I went today, which is when we're recording this. And it was great, man. It was awesome. I sent a little clip to TD because he's an Atlanta Falcons fan. And which again still perplexes me why you would take Michael Penix Jr. right off the bat when you just signed Kirk Cousins to a long contract.
And Michael Penix Jr. doesn't play edge rusher, which we don't have. So,
Exactly.
And they're trying hard to spin it, but no one's buying it. No one.
I'd hope it.
We call it. My brothers and I call it falconing. It's a typical Falcons move.
It makes no sense. I understand you want to have your quarterback in the future, I guess, but you just signed Kirk Cousins to a huge deal, and you've got a lot of other holes. So, hey, it is what it is. Look, before we recorded today, I understand the Lions made a future trade and picked somebody in the 5th or 6th round, and they're from Canada, and nobody's ever heard of them, and it's very perplexing, and it feels very Matt Millen-esque. We were drafted.
Oh, boy.
So, the Lions have been notorious for making terrible draft picks in history. That hasn't been the case for the last couple of years, but who knows? Maybe we just landed another stinker. But I hate when we give away draft picks in the future. But we'll see. Maybe the kid's going to be the best thing since sliced bread. Who knows? But anyway,
to be determined.
Digress. It is to be determined. We digress. That's the end of this show. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to Agents of Rage. We love doing this. This is a blast for us, whether we have 5 watchers, 10 watchers, 20 or 20,000. It's not going to change who we are. And we just love doing this. And it's all good. And we're going to keep doing it. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. We'd love to hear from you guys. So if you have, anything you want to suggest to us, we would love to take you up on it. Just so you know, YouTube and Facebook, that's pretty much where you find the show right now. And I'm trying to work on some more audio options, but there's copyright infringements with some of the stuff that we play. So it is what it is. But anyway, that's the show. You got anything else to say before we head out?
Working on Insta. So hopefully we'll get something on there soon. And and don't forget Geoff Tate.
Yeah, there you go.
Got to represent.
That's right. He is representing. And go check him out. And that's all good, brother. We're good. Hey, we will see you next time right here on Agents of Rage. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you.